What's up, family?
Hey,
How you?
hey,
How's everybody doing today?
what's up, good people? Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday to you all. Happy Thursday. We happy that you all could join us today.
Welcome, welcome. Always love to see you back. We appreciate you. Thank you for coming through.
Absolutely.
Yes, guys, we are going to go ahead and just jump right in because that's the type of day it is. Welcome to Seasoned AzF. Today, we are cracking open the dating playbook. He got a list, she got standards, but who is being realistic and who's out here asking for what they can't even give? Let's get into it. Oh,
Mm.
you saw his face? You saw his face? Okay. So we're going to jump right into these questions today. Skillz, what's one non-negotiable that you've added to your list since turning 45-ish? And is it truly realistic, do you think?
Non-negotiable
Deal
and
breaker.
non-negotiable deal breaker in dating. I would say a non-negotiable is, at this age that I am now, you got to have emotional intelligence for me. You got to be able to control your emotions, not
Mm-hmm.
take them out on me, not take them out on, not all the time anyway. Just be able to control your emotions and be able to move accordingly and know how to use them when it's necessary. That's crucial for me. So, yeah, I mean,
Woo! That's good. That's deep.
emotional intelligence, people.
Okay. Yes. Not just smart in the books, smart in the mind. Keep them emotions in order. Let's see.
Well, for you.
Ooh, you know, um, I'm gonna go a little bit, lighter. It's just the first thing that popped in my mind. And it's really something that was kind of like added later on in life for some reason. I really realized that I need for my partner to be an initiator. And what do I mean by that? I need my partner to be an initiator of communication, of intimacy, of activities,
Mm,
of conversations, not just somebody who is going to wait or expect for me to be that person all of the time. And so I just kind of learned over the last, decade or so that is super, super important to me. I don't want anybody who, doesn't have the emotional intelligence to be able to do that. So that's mine.
interesting.
I know,
Interesting.
right? Hmm. So let me ask you this. Do you think that women's standards are too high these days, or are men's expectations too outdated?
Well,
Hmm.
that's an interesting question. I don't think women's standards are too high. I think that they're confused. Um,
Mm.
women's standards are confused these days, not too high.
Okay.
I think that most women that I've encountered and that I listen to and that I see, they're worried about some of the wrong things. The
Mm-hmm.
standards ain't even on point to what, you know, the level that I'm on and at the age that I'm at right now. The stuff that y'all talking about and that you're calling a standard,
Ah,
that ain't it.
get on my level. Get on
That
my
ain't
level.
it. So I would say that lady standards are a little bit confused.
Okay, yeah, you're gonna have to go get a little further into that on another day. What you mean by
Yeah,
confused?
I believe that most people believe that most fellas would agree with me, and I think that most ladies, if they're honest with themselves, they would agree as well. You know what I mean?
Possibly.
we can definitely dig deeper into it and give some context to it, when we have more time. But I'll
Mm-hmm.
a brief snippet since you asked for that extra clarity there.
Yeah.
I would say that, um, I think we talked about this one time before, as far as dollar amounts and as far as, that being a standard for some women on a date, like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
you got to spend at least 300-400 on dinner, and you got to spend at least, this and that on our first date. Like it became about a dollar amount, and I
Mm.
just that's a level that I'm on. You know what I mean? Like it, I'm gonna spend what I want to spend first of all,
Right.
and who knows? It may be more than $400. It may be more than $500 that I spend on that date. But you best believe that ain't gonna be every day.
Okay.
That's not every time. You know what I mean? So
Exactly.
that being said, you know, that's one of the ways that I think ladies' standards are confused.
Okay, I got it. That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, you know, I don't ever really think that, we are all in a box. So are women's this or men's that, because there's so many different variations of us as women and men. So many different kinds, so many different types. But, when you're thinking about overall, I agree with you. I definitely don't think that, women's standards are too high or whatever the case may be. Um, I feel like sometimes they may be misprioritized. I think it's very interesting that we can you ask five different women, you'll probably have five different levels of importance, right? And so that's where it becomes tricky, because you're out here trying, as men, you're out here trying to you know tend to what you think is important, but what's important to one is not important to the other. So that's why there's some other things that kind of have to be in play. My favorite thing, communication, has to be in play so that you know who you're talking to, who you're dealing with, and then move accordingly to that individual. It's too many variations in women for you to just have one set standard. It's not going to work out like that. And then as far as guys, expectations being outdated, of course, in some instances they are. We're in a completely different world than, back in the day from our grandparents and our parents. It's a lot of women who are doing all the things and wearing all the hats. So if people have old school traditional expectations, those things again have to be discussed and talked about and agreed upon by both parties to make sure you're on the same page. So again, everything comes down to communication for me. So you have to, have those conversations early. Those are not conversations that should be held for further down the road. In the first one, two, three conversations, you need to ask a lot of questions, ask the tough questions, and kind of find out what page everybody is on to see if you're even in the same book. So that's what I think.
I I agree with that, but I do want to touch on that really quick though. I don't think most men go into any dating situation with expectation.
Probably
So
not. Mm,
and that's why I kind of left that where it was. We don't move like that. That's not our thought process. We don't move in a headspace to where we're sitting up saying, "Oh my God, at the end of this date, I'm expecting X, Y, and Z," or you know what I mean, or going into this date, I'm expecting X, Y, and Z. I think most men, for the most part, just want to truly organically get to know somebody. They want
mm,
to learn you, understand you, and find out how you move and how you operate. Just
mm.
kind of like what you said, how you broke it down and explained to it. All women are different, and they all communicate different and all of that. I think that's one of the things that we go into a dating situation trying to understand and trying to find out. I don't think it's a us going into it thinking like, oh, we gonna get the draws, or oh, we gonna get the like, that's not our thought process. That's a bonus if it happens, or if we do. For most men,
Right.
that's thought process walking into a dating situation. Like we're expecting that at the end of this date. You know what I
Mm,
mean?
mhm.
See if we're trying to date you.
Right.
That. the expectation. If we trying to, hook up body, then it, you know what I mean? I have
It go a little different.
yeah. Oh, it is what it is. The thought process on a hookup, but
Right.
for the most part, that's not a situation that we think like going into this. We gotta, this is what we gonna get out of it. This,
Hmm.
that's not how we move. But you know, just
That's
my stand up fact for the fellas.
okay. That's fair. That's fair.
So my question for you is, um, how do you tell the difference between this one is a tricky one for you. How do you between healthy standards or boundaries and emotional walls?
Ooh. Mm, questions, questions, and more questions is how
Mhm.
you tell the difference. I feel like, a lot of times people make the mistake of taking an initial, comment or an initial conversation, and sometimes even taking it at face value without asking for clarification or without saying, this is what I heard, is this what you meant, type of conversations. And I think you have to do that in order to kind of tell where people are coming from, to tell if, you could tell a lot about, if people are healed from, past traumas, whether it's childhood or previous relationships. And those types of questions and answers and, healthy digging, not like, digging in a negative sense, but those types of things allow you to kind of make that distinction between whether or not something is, healthy, and it comes from a place of they've learned themselves enough to know what they need, and they've learned themselves enough to know what works for them. Those things I consider more healthy standards and boundaries versus things that are, protections from trauma. So that's what I think. What do you think when it comes to ladies doing that?
I agree with you on a lot of that. I really do. But I think for men, for us dealing with ladies, it's we have to pay. So your thing was questions, 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 and my
Mm-hmm.
answers, answers, answers. The answers that I'm getting from the questions that I'm asking, because
Mm-hmm.
a lot of men, we have to pay for what every man has done to y'all.
Mm.
And what I mean by that, and when I say that, you know, the damage that's done to you all, um,
Mm-hmm.
come out in those form of walls and come out in those form of protection. And it's not that we don't understand it and we don't get it, but we don't think it's fair to us
It's
that
not
we pay for another man's mistakes or another man's issues, and
right.
that all, um, you know, we can see damage. We understand that it's damage and what it is when we see it.
Mm.
But however, that doesn't make it easier for us to always have to deal with that and battle that.
Right.
And
That's
an
fair.
unemotionally intelligent man would not know how to handle that or know how to deal with that nor navigate it. And some of them would be quick to cut a lady off that's been through some things because,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm not willing to fight my battles and his
That's
or
right.
or theirs. You know what I mean? Because it had to do with that, and we weren't there. We weren't present 10 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
5 years ago, or last year. You know what I mean? We weren't present for that. So,
Right.
but we're paying for that man's mistakes. So, that's what I would say as far as how we handle it. We listen
Mm-hmm.
to those answers that y'all give us to the questions that we ask, and see how you come at us and see how sharp it is when you respond to what it is that we're trying to get at. That'll give us whether it's walls or whether it's standards or boundaries.
That's right. That's good. That makes a
Yeah.
lot of good sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the other one that I have for you is interesting as well. Um, should men or women lower their expectations or expand their levels of compatibility?
Hmm. I think, expectations are relative. I kind of tend to move from the space, like you said, is typical for men. Most of the time, I'm not going into the thing with the expectation, because I think sometimes when you go in with expectations, you are, setting yourself up for disappointment. I prefer for things to just kind of be outside of just general basic, like I expect you to be respectful. I expect you to be, what I'm saying, things like that. But um, I try to go into it with an open mind and an open heart and just let things happen organically without
Mhm.
having the expectations. So I would probably feel like, you know, the level of compatibility, I feel like that's different as we get older. You know what I'm saying? The things that we were compatible with that was important to us when we were younger definitely changes as we get older. Not that things go away, or not that, looks and, superficial things don't play a part, because they still do. They still matter, but
Mhm.
they tend to fall down on the list of importance, for most of us as we mature, because there's just other things that are just way more important. You know what I'm saying? You find as you tend to get older, you're looking for different things. You're in a different place in your life and you want different things, and different things are important to you. So that's what I think. What about
Okay.
you?
I mean, I agree with some of that as well, but the part that I think we should all be clear on is that it's important to be able to meet people where they are,
Mm-hmm.
and try to find some level of, grace and understanding on all things. Um,
Mm-hmm.
the part that I was agreeing with you on is the expectation part. I don't move into certain things with expectation, because
Mm-hmm.
nobody's ever going to meet your expectations. Let's just be real. You know what
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? Like because even once they do, you
Don't
found a new
move
level to
it.
see that.
Right.
Okay, well, you met that. Let me come up with something different. Um, I think it's just important to allow, that grace and have those moments where you can allow somebody to just be who they are, and
Mm-hmm.
to, appreciate and love and respect and understand exactly where they are.
Yeah.
Um, because I think anything outside of that, you can find compatibility in that. You know what I mean?
Mm.
You can find your middle ground in that, in those, those grace periods, and in that moment where you say, hey, I'm not going to be too hard on this woman, because you know what I mean, she has been through some things. You know what I mean? Like, let me find a little understanding in that. Let me allow her a little grace. Um, but just know that we given a little grace. You know what I mean? When we so only that grace needs to be extended on both sides.
Exactly. A little reciprocity, please.
Truly perfect, but you know, when I say, the expectation part of it, but I do say that if you do learn of some things that are not compatible, you can't live past, and you know that y'all are not going to be compatible. Don't hold on for selfish reasons.
That's right.
Don't hold on for reasons of children or good,
Mm-hmm.
um, you know,
Comfort.
yeah, whatever that looks like for you, or
Yeah.
financial, or whatever, because that's how people truly get hurt.
True.
And I mean that on several different levels. So not just you know, the financial part of being hurt, but physical part. I'm
Absolutely.
I'm stable enough to not put my hands on nobody, but I can't speak for that next brother that you contact with. He might lay hands on you if you're playing
Okay.
in his face. You know what I mean? I personally have the strength to walk away, but
Uh-huh.
speak for Tony on the corner down there. I can't.
Exactly. Or Tina, because some of the ladies be wilding out too.
do. They do. In
Yeah.
fact, um, Yeah, so I really want some feedback on this one. I really want everybody to give us some good responses and some good feedback on this one. So y'all hit up those comments, make sure that we're, having these discussions, and, invite us into your world. Share a little bit about what your thoughts are with this. And we can respond and share a little bit about, what we think, and it's important to have these engagements with people. My personal life coach, her special thing is peace and grace. You know what I mean? She believes that, her life should be peaceful and everybody deserves a little grace. So,
I agree.
I try to adapt that into my world. So let us know, people, what y'all think. Give us
Please let us know.
give us some feedback.
Yeah.
Um, Speaking of let us know, I wanted to change our segment up today, and I have one called "Let the People Know."
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I'm not gonna speak on this one. I just want your response. I'm gonna give you time to respond to it. I'm just gonna put it out here, and I want your response to it and your thoughts on it. And hopefully, after me putting it out there, everybody will understand why I'm not gonna speak on it, because it's definitely dear and very emotional for me. And trying to keep my emotional intelligence self in check these days. So,
That's right.
um, but we spoke one time before on the way stories and news and things were reported.
Mm.
I just put this out there for the people. I want to let y'all know. Did you all know that not only every year, but specifically the year of 2021, that 71,000 young black girls came up missing? 71,000 black girls came up missing right here in this good old country that we live in.
Mm.
All of them were minors or underage, and not only did they come up missing, if they did get reported, most of them were reported as runaways or sex workers. Is it only okay for young black girls to be reported as sex workers?
Mm.
Because that happens to young white girls, they are um, not at the legal age of consent. But when it happens to young black girls, they're considered to be sex workers. If they're underage, they cannot consent, no matter what color they are. Correct? I'm just putting that out there.
That's right. That's
Trying to.
right. Yeah. And clearly, sometimes, things like that, you might have an idea, but, we got to just let you know some of the facts behind some of the things because, some people don't know. So make sure you guys, listen to the question and, let us know what you think about that. Is that something that you've noticed? Is that something that, you were already aware of? Is that something that, oh, wow, I didn't know. I had no idea that those were the numbers. So make sure you guys chime in and, we're going to probably put a link to, some other information or a video or something for you to check out to get further information. Do your own due diligence and, let us know what you think. But thank you, Skillz, for letting the people know.
Yeah, because I don't remember seeing that hitting in my news stations that I watched. Did y'all? Did you
Nope,
remember
nope, nope. No.
71,000 young black girls came up missing?
We don't get a lot of
And,
hashtags and search parties for those young ladies.
and I just want to make sure we're clear on that number. I know I repeated it a few times, but I'm not talking about 7,100. 71,000.
Okay. Yeah, that's madness. That's madness, crazy madness. So I'm sure we all should have something to say, some thoughts or something, to share about that. So if this episode has you reconsidering your list, feeling some kind of way about these 71,000 Black girls or any of the above, make sure you tag a friend, share the conversation, and follow Seasoned AzF for more bold, unfiltered, grown folks conversations every week. Every Thursday, you can find a new episode on YouTube at 8 p.m. Eastern. You can catch the old episodes and just, stay with us. Let us know your thoughts, give us some feedback. And no matter what you do, always stay seasoned.
Peace.
Peace.